welcome back.
Hey! It's like we never left.
Yeah, it's like we didn't take 5 months off. Or 6. Close to 6.
I really thought I was going to botch that. Because it's been so long since I've played.
Well, and you did it on your phone instead of the pad.
Man, a lot of things. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things have happened.
That's true. First of all, we're in... I don't know if this will... I think with some tweaking, this can be the studio.
Yeah.
We have to move some stuff around, but...
Yeah.
Either way, we're in a new recording space.
We're going to have to put up some panels or something.
Something. Yeah. It's a tad echoey.
Yeah, it's a little more so. Plus, I think it doesn't help that we're on top of each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I thought it would be really beneficial to get a little, like a desk mic stand, and it did not play out quite like I had imagined.
I did find the mount for your...
Oh,
I
you?
did find the desk mount. Yeah.
Okay, because I came and I took the other clamp mount because I needed it in my little...
Well, then I found
space.
Mine. Either
so
way,
you
I
must have found
one.
yours. But yeah, this is like I'm hunched over.
Well, this will be good for your back.
Yeah, no, this is great. This feels good.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, I'm just hunched over, kind of whispering, because if I talk any louder, it's gonna go into your microphone.
Yeah, I mean, I can move back.
Well, it's just it is what it is.
Just a bit. No, I can't. See, I'm the exact opposite. I am set bolt upright.
Yes,
and cannot move forwards.
So new space. Razzle here has packed up and moved shop away from where we were, and not only that, but we had to take some time off because obviously Razzle moved. Razzle now has a small gooey unformed human,
a spawnling.
Yeah,
I do.
Kind of like if you take a loaf of bread out about 15 minutes too early, still soft and chewy.
Imagine you walk in on a loaf of bread shitting its pants.
Yeah, so life changes, but it's all good things.
Yeah, it's been, at least for me, it's been an extremely stressful last couple of months, because it was like, the little one was born, and the night he was born, we got the offer on our old place. So in the first 6 weeks of him being alive, we moved, which was
he's already
a nightmare,
living the instability of the American dream.
Right, exactly. It's all this house of cards that we moved into.
Hey, man,
could collapse at any moment.
This is a good life lesson for your doughy child.
Oh, I figured out how to recline a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go. See, it's getting better by the minute.
Yeah,
Just gotta get back.
Well, got to get into the groove. You're on your cord though.
Yeah, well, I just don't have to. I just won't move.
Okay.
Oh, kick the mic.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good now.
So I wanted to talk about the little dough ball. So I, of course, have little dazzles.
They are not.
They're not little anymore. They are old and on the verge of manhood. Yeah, taking flight. And
on the verge of creating their own.
Yeah, creating their own little dough balls.
Yeah, and wadded up and stuck under the pillow.
Yeah. Oh God, so many crunchy socks.
I talked to my boss about that, asking him how old, because he has 4 kids, 3 of them are boys, and I was asking him how old they are, and he was telling me, I think he said one of them was like 12, 13. I'm like, man, they've almost got porn. Like, they're almost going to be sucked into that world, and you just won't have to worry about them for a couple of years. They'll find...
Almost. 13?
12, 13? I mean, I don't know.
That's like 8th grade.
Yeah, I don't want to put it past them.
Oh. Yeah, that's...
I don't want to make assumptions. My point was that, like, pretty soon, you don't have to worry about where they're at, they're in their room, they're jerking off.
Yeah, it's one of two.
And
two
they're
places.
not going to get in any trouble while they're doing it. Most likely.
They're
with so much free porn now, you're not gonna steal your parent. There was a short window where people were taking their parents' credit cards and signing up for porn sites and shit, but that's...
God, they have it so good.
I know.
Man, I remember when I was young.
On dial-up.
Well, even before that, I mean,
Well,
what
yeah.
was I? I was, let's see, how old was I when I first jerked off? Let's see, 11,
Yeah,
12?
I don't remember.
And
I don't even know.
that was like on the birth of the internet. Like, we're
Yeah.
talking 96, 97,
Yeah.
you know? So it wasn't even a sense of, you know, there was no, I was in the age of the scrambled,
They have this
the scrambled station.
trying to figure out your parents' parental code for the cable box.
Yeah.
I mean, that.
I remember what I used to do. God, this is going to sound so bad. One of the TVs that we had, if you like went to like channel, I don't know, like 86, I don't know what channel it was, but if you would go to that, it would be scrambled. It'd be a pay-per-view scrambled channel. But for 2 seconds, when you would go to that channel, it would be scrambled. You could hear it, but then it would go to fuzz or black. So I would just sit there. You know where I'm going with this. I would sit there and hit repeat on the remote. So I would jump back and forth between that channel and the whatever other channel I was on, and I would do it so fast that you could kind of hear. And, you know, I'm not getting any pleasure out of this. I can't multitask like that, but I can hear it. I'm like, I can hear it.
I'm saving this for later in my brain.
Yes, I'm keeping it in the brain. And after that, it was I had my own TV in my room. Finally, I say finally. Most kids didn't back then. But
I didn't for a long. I did eventually, but I didn't for a long time.
Yeah, my sixth-ish grade. Before we moved out, but when we still lived in the city, before we moved out to the suburbs, and the first time, have I ever told the story about the first time I ever jerked off?
I don't think so.
I don't know. It's been so long.
I don't know that I've heard this.
You've never heard this story?
If I've heard it, I don't remember it.
Sit back, my love. So, I'm watching Jay Leno. Now already.
What a great start.
The mood is set.
What a great start.
I'm watching Jay Leno, and one of the newer movies that is out, I don't know if it had been out for a while or if it was just coming out, was Wild Things. Wild Things, if you're unawares, is a very awful movie with Denise Richards, Nev Campbell, and the horse face.
Lesbionics.
Yeah. But that horse face guy from Something About Mary.
Dylan? Matt Dillon?
Matt Dillon? Is that his name?
I think so.
Anyway, and Nev Campbell comes on, and I'm like, all right, I like this. And then they like show some scene from the movie of like them in a pool or something. I'm like, okay. And so I start, kind of surveying the area and, just doing things and yeah. And then kablamo. And the first thought I had was that I broke something. I thought I broke my dick. I thought, because up until that point, like I would used to do things like I used to like kind of like hump pillows and be like, yeah, this feels good. I like this. Mm-hmm. But there was never any grand finale. It was just like, hey, I'm gonna rub up on this pillow for a little while, and then go back to playing with the old action figures.
Which reminds me of Big Mouth.
Yeah, a lot of pillow humping.
Jay fucking his pillow.
Yeah, and I freaked out. I had to bring it back, calm down.
Oh, I thought you meant like you carried your expungent.
No,
to the nearest parental.
It went all over me. Because I didn't know anything was gonna happen. So, it just vomited. My dick just, like a night after 6 Jaeger bombs, just, and then it was just kind of just there. Yeah, and I was like, this is my life now.
Briefly in my mind, I had to walk myself back from Jay Leno. I'm like, wait a minute, I know the story started with Jay Leno. Where did we go from?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
a big,
remember now.
it's a big thing to unpack.
What an intro.
You know, he's like, hey,
Have you seen it? Never
hey,
heard about
seen
it?
So yeah, so I just grabbed a shirt and I kind of, dried off, squeegeed it off, and then did it 6 more times.
Yeah, and that was the next 5 years of your life.
And that pretty much encompassed all the way up to sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's like once your kids find porn, it's like good. Like at least they're not doing anything harmful.
No, I mean, I don't really I don't care. I know that both of my kids were way too young because I already know that they've been exposed to it. I've been battling that monster since the littlest Dazzle has been, 5, 6.
I remember the you got a call about YouTube searches once.
Yeah, many times YouTube searches. He would go on the iPad and like just search, just like it was so weird because they were the most innocent searches. But that the end result was going to be bad. Like he's like Google's 2 girls kissing, and it's like, oh, that's cute. I mean, that's innocent. But you fucking know the end result of that is going to be some mandingo.
It's gonna be like a 5-person cum swapping.
Yeah, it's like, and then it's going to be tagged girls kissing. So there's no winning. It was innocent. When I was that age, I would have been like, girls kissing, that's cool, whatever. But yeah, man, like they were exposed at a very young age, and it's been a battle ever since. So learn from my mistakes. It's going to be even harder for you.
Why do you? Well, because
it's
yeah,
like you can't, especially with us, like, how many laptops do you have in
this room?
Just in this room.
In this room, there are 3.
Like how many electronic devices do you have that can reach the internet?
All of them.
All of them.
Every
room, everything.
My light switch can reach the internet.
Exactly. So it's like it's even worse now for you than it was for me when they were younger.
Yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to talk about actually was now that you're a newly christened, you're in the brotherhood of parenthood. But it has been that long.
No.
The kid, like I said,
it'll be 2 months. So it's been over 8 weeks, but it'll be 2 months in 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. See that the kid's almost indistinguishable to a human. So, what the hell was that? Was that you? Okay.
Yes.
So being in the infancy, I'll ask you, in the early stages of parenthood, is there anything that has met an expectation that you set?
An expectation that I set?
Well, yeah, like not knowing what you were getting into at first. Is there something that maybe like everybody told you and that you didn't believe?
Yeah, the whole sleep.
Yeah, sleep doesn't.
The sleep deprivation thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much more real and powerful than I expected. Like people say it like, yeah, you're never gonna sleep again. Huh?
You're like, you just don't know how to manage your time. You just don't know how to raise children.
Well, that's a different joke I like to make all the time. I always tell all my friends with kids, like,
I guess I'm better than you.
Parenthood's easy. You guys just complain a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're complaining about. Well, joke's on me there. Anyway, yeah, the lack of sleep is real, very real. So it's hard for me to decouple the stress of that with the stress of moving. Right now, it's just all one. Cesspool of a cesspool of stress.
I honestly would have left him at the firehouse for a month or 2 and then went back to get him just to move in, settle in, and be like, you know what, I'm ready. I'll take him back.
Yeah, it's been rough as I'm yawning right now. It's been very rough, but I mean, we're lucky. He's great. He sleeps pretty decently. I mean, he slept last night and the night before. He slept from like 10:30 to about 6 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really complain with that kind of.
But that's literally just started
these
the last 2 nights.
Well, maybe that is the.
That's a new.
You just
pattern.
gotta do like what athletes do when they win the big game. You
don't shower.
Don't change anything.
Yeah, exactly.
We are doing the same thing every day at every just mimicking those 2 days.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And then the last couple of days, I mean, every couple of days there's something crazy going on. Like, you know, somebody's going to the hospital, somebody's coming from the airport, we're getting something delivered, something's getting installed, or, you know, so we still haven't. We've been here 2 weeks, just over 2 weeks, no, right around 2 weeks, and it still hasn't really like settled, as you can tell by looking around, and there's shit everywhere.
Yeah,
it hasn't really settled down.
I couldn't like nothing against your process, but I couldn't do this.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. It's hectic. It's rough.
You know, one of the things that I've said when I move is that none of this is coming with me. Like in my house, nothing. Like I am starting, well, except for like the stuff I want. Like my musical equipment and all that stuff. All that stuff's going to come with, but that's one you know, car ride. You know, I could pack all that in a SUV or rent a little truck and then take it. But dude, everything else it's all gonna be. We're gonna go to the furniture store and just buy everything and have it delivered, and that's the end. You know, there's nothing I need to take. That and because that's the one of the problems is that when you accumulate so much stuff. It's just a never-ending battle with accumulation, and then you don't want to get rid of any of it. Like honestly, if I were to go through these boxes, I could probably throw out. Like I see, like that
almost certainly
HP touchpad that's fucking 10 years old.
Yeah, it still works.
I'm sure it still works, but you ain't never gonna use that. You know,
it's true, but it still works.
I mean, maybe you could like take it apart and have funsies with it, but
I'm creating a museum.
Oh, okay. Like a tour through the ages.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
The electronics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you've accumulated quite a bit of stuff, and there's a subwoofer on the floor that I swear to God is as big as my mini fridge. What is that?
It's a home theater subwoofer that was in my living room at the old house.
Home theater subwoofer.
Yeah,
I didn't even know they made them that big.
Oh, it's
got to be so old.
It is, but that's only a 10-inch. They make them much bigger than that.
Fuck that, man. That thing's huge. At first, I didn't know what it was. I was like, "What is this microwave sitting on the floor?" So the sleep deprivation is real. I will attest to that. That is a real thing. Is there anything that hasn't? Like, is there anything that people warned you or said and that was not the case?
I'm trying to think. Not really. I mean, most of the I mean, there's expectations that we had that sort of fell apart almost immediately. But not really stuff that people told us. Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, like we wanted to have a natural birth, and we ended up having a C-section, and it took like 3 days, and then there was just all kinds of shit, right? Absolutely nothing has been smooth at all. So it's we had our own expectations that sort of fell flat, but not nothing really other people said or did that didn't pan out for us.
Yeah, I remember she was in labor for a while.
Yeah, it was like 3 days.
Good God.
We went into the hospital Thursday night, and he was born Saturday. We went home Monday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was rough.
At least you didn't have a Burger King incident like I did when littlest Dazzle was born.
What?
I'm sure I've told you that story.
I don't remember.
Oh. I don't eat Burger King.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember this story.
Yeah.
But for those who don't,
haven't heard. So I don't eat Burger King. Not just because it's awful, but because what how long has it been? 12 years. So the day littlest Dazzle was born, the ex-wife turns and is like, "Yeah, no, it's time." And then got the bag and everything, and drove all the way from the suburbs, all the way out to where we were, the hospital that he was going to be born at. So it was a little bit of a drive, but get out there. It's pretty early in the morning. Check her in, admit her, everything, and a couple hours go by, and I'm starving. I hadn't eaten all day, and we're about in the noonish, one-ish area of time, and right next to the hospital, there's a Burger King. So I go over to the Burger King, and I'm kind of a very my eyes are usually bigger than my stomach type person, and I'm like, you know what? I need this triple Whopper. Like, I need it. Like, I'm that hungry.
The precursor to the Bacon King.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know that Burger King had a triple Whopper at one time.
Oh, yes.
But they did.
I've eaten them.
And I'm sitting there. I take it in. I'm in the room. And mind you, my ex-wife is like not even sweating it. Like, if I have a very like biased view of childbirth just because I saw my ex-wife do it, and she probably could have sketched a painting, it was like she was napping. Like, she just went, and then, it was done. She wasn't in pain. She wasn't screaming. I mean, she had an epidural. Obviously that helps, but
right.
But in any event, so we're sitting there, she's just watching TV, and I'm like, are you sure this baby's coming? Because you seem pretty fine. Little do I know, like, she's dilated to the size of a fucking Monster can or whatever. Like, she's crowning. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm eating my triple Whopper. All of a sudden, it's like, okay, here we go. And I'm like, what? So I'm sitting over a trash can, shoving triple Whopper, because obviously I have to finish it.
Yeah, you already paid
I can't
for it. Not getting rid of it.
I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not going to bring this child in the world with wasting food. So I'm shoving this fucking thing in my mouth. I eat the triple Whopper, and like no joke, I'm like, all right. I walk over, and they put the gown on me and everything, and I'm sitting there, and the baby, littlest Dazzle had a big fucking noggin. So it's like, it's stuck at a crossroads here. Like, either the kid's gonna come out with a cylindrical skull, or they had to do an episiotomy. Mm-hmm. So for those that don't know what an episiotomy is, that's when they fucking cut your taint. Like, it's... Yeah. So I, curious beaver that I am...
They changed the taint to an ain't.
Yes. And I'm like, hey, man, I want to see this. And they told me, no, stay on the other side of the curtain. I'm like, you can't tell me what to do. I am this child's father. I want to see it birthed into this world. So I kind of do a little peekaroo around the corner of the drape, and I see them go, and it looked like a face hugger from Aliens. It's like the vagina, once you cut that taint, it just unfolds into this alien-like structure that immediately... First of all, I could never see that vagina the same again. That's it. That's your vagina now. And I was like, okay. Came back over, and then holding the hand, they rip him out with quite a bit of force. They don't fuck around with babies. Like, it's like, even in a modern age, it feels like archaic. Like, they're pulling them out with salad tongs, and so they rip the kid out, and they and then everything kind of falls, the guts and stuff and placenta and all that other stuff. So fine. So they're cleaning the baby off. They're sucking shit out of his face. They put him in the little incubatorial bed, and then I went, "Is that it?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, good." And then I turn over and I violently throw up. Like, I'm talking violent. It was and everybody's yelling at me. Like the nurses and the ex-wife, she's yelling at me. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to do this in the hall? I was like, this needs to come out now. So I threw up violently, emptied my system. One of the nurses had to immediately take the trash can out of the room, and I had to clean up and disinfect and come back, and that was that. And anytime I even for a while just smelled flame broiled anything, I would get sick. And then now it's okay, but I don't eat. I think I ate Burger King once in the past few years, and it was awful. And I don't even think it was a burger. I think it was like those chicken Cheeto fry things. And I tried those, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, it's a low bar.
Yeah. So that was my birthing experience. I mean, it literally it only took like 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine was a little different.
Yours was 3 days.
The nice thing was, so afterwards, because I was in the OR, and she's laying there, and she's awake, and she's talking, and she keeps saying, like, I'm gonna pass out, and the doctor's like, yeah, go ahead, pass out. Like, you've been up for 3 days doing this, being in labor for 3 days, so go ahead, pass out, that's fine. She's like, no, I'm gonna pass out. You don't understand. And he's like, yeah, go ahead. She's like, well, I can't breathe. He's like, you're breathing just fine. Like, look on the monitor. Your levels are all. She's like, well, no, I can't breathe. And he's like, you just can't feel yourself breathing. Like, you're so numb that you can't actually feel that you're filling your lungs with enough air and then breathing it out. But you're fine. And then she's like, okay, I'm sorry for talking so much. And then people on the other side of the curtain are like chuckling, like, lady, you're in surgery. Like, don't stop apologizing.
I'm sorry I have to take up your time. I'm sorry, doctor.
And then they're like, at one point, like, so they're in their medical speak or whatever, must have signaled that it was that they had pulled him out. And at one point, so I'm sitting, the curtain's to my left. She's right in front of me, laying down, and then I can't see anything to my left because the curtain's like high up. Mm-hmm. And then the anesthesiologist to my right, and he's standing so he can see over the curtain. He at one point is like, hey, stand up, take a look at your boy, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So I stand up and I look, and I'm like, so my eyes did this laser focus directly onto him, and like there's a whole open abdomen over here that I'm not gonna look at. I'm looking at him, and I see him like, oh yeah, great, and
it's a dough
it's a
ball.
baby. And then like he's like, okay, sit down. I sit back down, and then they're like doing their suction and spanking and weighing and measuring and all that, and then they bring him over and have us give him a kiss, and he's like freaking out, but then
put me back in.
Yeah. After all that, while they were getting her like out of there and like in recovery and stuff, they brought us back. They brought me and him back to the room, and they're like, okay, do you want to hold him? I'm like, yeah, of course. I hold him. They're like, yeah, well, they're going to be back in like 20 minutes, half hour. Are you cool? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm good. And so for like the first half hour he was alive, well, after coming out of the OR.
I was about to say, I was like, was he dead in the womb?
No. The first half hour after he was born,
okay,
it was just he and I sitting in the room together, just alone, just me and him. There were no nurses, nobody was coming in or out. It was just me and him. So we got that bonding experience, and then we did like the golden hour and skin to skin and all that stuff. So,
oh yeah, I remember that nonsense.
The new agey, stuff,
hipster stuff.
I will tell you that I have a serious frustration with labor and delivery nurses. Like, first of all, I absolutely couldn't do that job. Like, it's unbelievable. I can't even think about like problems in birth and delivery and sick kids. I can't even think about it. It makes me crazy at this point. Like if there's one thing about my perspective that has changed, it's stuff like that, like kids, or babies and stuff like that. It's just a whole new perspective on like sick kids, sick babies, stuff like that. Anyway, they have to deal with an unbelievable amount of like stress and pressure and all that stuff, and I get that. Every one of them has a different opinion on the only way to raise a baby.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And every one of them, it's gospel. Mm-hmm. And they will tell you, no, you're doing everything wrong. You need to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. And then the next nurse that comes in like, no, that's all wrong. You should be doing it this way. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And then the doctor will come in and tell you that all the nurses are full of shit and really it's this way and blah, blah. And it's so unbelievably stressful specifically on new parents. But like at this point, the point he was born late at night on the third day we were there. So it's like we are exhausted and we're stressed, and we have a new kid and she's like just out of surgery. So it's like, it's really hard and it's all new for us. And then every person we see is telling us we're doing everything wrong and that this is the way to do stuff, and then the next person is saying that they're doing it wrong, and it's been insane.
Yeah. It's kind of along the lines of, just because you let your kid eat raw honeycomb, and it grew up to be a physicist, that it must have been that raw honeycomb, right? Like, and it's fine. Like, everybody tries to attribute their own successes in parenthood to, other people for some reason. And that's never going to stop. I just want you to know that. Like, people will continue to do that. Parents will continue to do. I won't do that. But a lot of other parents are gonna be like, "Oh, is he teething? Oh, okay. Well, you know what you need to do."
Yeah. It's happening. It happens.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen
and that's fine. Now, but see, now when it's stuff like teething or whatever. Now we're kind of at least in the swing of things. We kind of have a sense of when he's normal, when he's not normal, whatever. In the beginning, we have no idea what's going on, right? We don't know if he's normal, if he's not normal, if he's happy, sad.
Is he supposed to be purple? Is he
right? Stuff like that. We have no idea, and everybody's like coming in with different. And it ended up leading to him, because another thing that we had planned on that sort of changed is we had planned on breastfeeding, and that didn't work out for a number of reasons. But he wasn't getting any food for like the first 2 days he was alive. And all the nurses are like, yeah, no, he's fine. He's fine. Go ahead. They didn't weigh him. They didn't weigh him before we left the hospital, which they're supposed to do.
What?
They're like, no, he's fine, blah, blah, blah. And a day after we get home, we came home on like a Monday. By Tuesday, like afternoon, he hadn't had a wet diaper. In more than 24 hours.
Yep.
And we're like, what the fuck is going on? So we ended up giving him a little bit of like a pre-made formula thing that we got sent. We gave him that just to give him something.
Right.
And then the doctor wanted to see him right away. He had lost a lot. He lost not more than the scary amount of weight. Babies are supposed to lose weight after they leave the hospital, or after they're born. But the scary amount is like 10% of their original weight or more, and he was at like 9.7% of his weight. So what we ended up doing is he wouldn't latch, and it was just a bunch of problems. So she ended up pumping, and then we were supplementing with formula, and and everybody out there, and I'm not debating the science or any of that about formula versus breast milk and things like that, but people have to understand that, the mission is get the food into the kid.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
That's number one.
Right. But it's like everybody puts their own list of priorities on things, and it really ends up fucking over the kid. So, and then we had scares with like the Illinois does a screening, a newborn screening for like a ton of different genetic diseases. And he had he came back with a false positive.
Big dick disease?
Yes, BDD. Yeah, that one they don't skip. Well, they don't have to take a blood sample for it.
Thank God.
The nurses, even that's up to opinion, but the nurses, the nurses can can eyeball it, so to speak. So he had a false positive for something, and the way the doctor handled it was really shitty because the doctor wouldn't give us any information. He referred us to a specialist, and we had to wait for the specialist. And that's what I mean. It's like it's been like nonstop chaos and calamity every couple of days since he was born. So it's been rough this whole time.
Yeah, I will say that I would say the first, I don't know, in my situation, both of my little Dazzles were different. I think the older Dazzle, I think with him, it was more of a, like for the first 5 or 6 years, it was a lot of stuff. He had to be in speech therapy. He had to be in, like a behavioral therapy. It was kind of one of those things where he was behind on some things. And then one day, boom, he caught up. It was the weirdest thing. Like he wasn't speaking a lot, when he was younger. And I actually was very similar. I jumped right from grunting to sentences. It was very weird. And, he was the very, very same way. So, there was, I would say it's really dependent, but I think the hecticness, it persists pretty much through the first 5-6 years. I think once they start going to school, once they start going to school and there's somebody else's problem for 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, then I think from that point, it's like, oh, we could take a breather,
Yeah.
And I don't know what your plan is for future Razzles. I don't know if you're trying to stack them like dominoes or.
So I mean, we have a loose plan, and the doctor has sort of given us guidelines on like when and when we should start trying again and stuff like that. So it'll be a little bit before we start trying again, but the plan as of right now is still to have more. Although I did say in the hospital when I was there, I'm like, after going through all this shit, I was like, I don't understand who goes through this and says, yeah, I want to do that again.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I don't think it would happen the same way.
And that's what the doctors and everybody keeps saying, like, well, you just have it scheduled and come in and.
Yeah, I think you hit enough road bumps and you push through it, and then you gain that knowledge. And then when you have another kid, you are much, much more prepared and know what to expect. Somewhat. I mean, obviously life gives you curveballs, but
yeah,
generally speaking, I remember when oldest Dazzle was born, I was pretty freaked out, and I was much younger than you are now.
Yeah,
I was just a small child myself, and I think when and they were only a year apart. They're basically a year apart, and that's
crazy. I never thought about the fact that they were that close.
Yeah, they're almost exactly a year apart, and even in that short year. Like, I think it just prepared me so much more for when that was nothing, minus the Burger King and the, and the throwing up profusely. But yeah, there was a lot of I think out of all of the advice that anybody ever gave, there was only one piece of advice that ever stuck with me that was like true, because everybody did the same thing and I was young. So everybody had this even more of a need to like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. You're 20, 21 years old. You don't know, you barely can take care of yourself. And they were right. but it doesn't make my age shouldn't determine my ability to take to take care of a child. There's no difference between a 21-year-old me minus the internal struggles in my brain, but from a 21 to the 31-year-old, you're all in the same depth. Like you don't understand. It's something that you can't understand until it happens. So so the one piece of advice that you've probably already heard, and that I'm going to say, impart to you, even though I'm sure you've already heard it, but don't let that kid sleep in your bed.
Yes, I have heard it both. You already, like, I think right after he was born, you said that to
did
me.
I? It's so important,
but
in my opinion.
Other people have said, well, it is important if we go back to like the scare tactic statistics and stuff, like it's important there. It's, it's basically, I don't know why they call it SIDS when they're really calling it, when it's really like you fucked up and your baby died.
Right.
Like SIDS isn't a thing. It's you did something you shouldn't have done and your baby died. Like you put them in the car seat wrong. You put them in their swing wrong and they suffocated or they choked or something. You did something and your baby died.
Right.
Anyway, so the chance of SIDS if your baby sleeps with you is like 40% higher.
Yeah.
And it's I guess the most dangerous, and I didn't know this, the most dangerous is if you're holding your baby in like a chair or on a couch and you both fall asleep. That's the most dangerous. But yeah, so from people, then there's other people like a friend of ours who their first kid slept in the bed with them all the time. Kid's fine, but had a huge problem like transitioning out of sleeping in the bed, and that's so both of those things are things that I obviously want to avoid. So yeah, he sleeps in his bassinet, or if it's the middle of the day, sometimes he'll sleep in his swing or whatever. But never like unattended and stuff. Occasionally in the morning, like while if Mrs. Razzle's waiting for me to finish showering or something, and then I'm gonna take him, she will put him in the bed just so she can like hold him and put like hold his pacifier and stuff for like a half hour or an hour, and then we'll switch and I'll take him or whatever. So, but no, like at night and stuff like that, naps, he absolutely does not sleep in the bed with us.
Yes, I I do know that the I was kind of I don't like to use the term part-time parent, but it's applicable. I was separated from my ex-wife after the second year of both. Well, I mean, because I don't know if people know this, but I'm not going to get into it because we don't have time. But both of my little dazzles are from two different people. But my ex-wife, I think we were married for about 2 years while he was born. So we separated when he was around 2. So he got 2 years. And in that 2 years, he did not sleep in the bed. He had his crib or his, little pack and play or whatever. And that was great. Never had any problems. Now, the oldest Dazzle, obviously I cannot oversee and control or contribute to what happened, when he was at home because he was with his mother. She was a little bit more, I'll use the word, she coddled him a lot. And the dynamic in not only the relationship between both, I love both of my children equally. I know most parents say that and they're lying. Most parents have a favorite. I can tell you, I do not.
As of right now, I have a favorite.
You have a favorite, yeah. But I do not have a favorite. I appreciate certain things in each of them more in one and the other, but I don't. The love that I have is equal. So I do not have a favorite, but I have a very different dynamic with me and youngest Dazzle compared to me and oldest Dazzle. And you know what it was? I think it was that 2 years. He had me 2 years in his infancy as a full-time father, And unfortunately, my oldest Dazzle did not. And he is 100% a mama's boy. And, you know, he always had problems with, sleeping, crib or pack and play or whatever. It was always, very needy. So I've seen it both. I've seen what happens with both. And on that note, I think we've hit our time.
Yeah, I think we are good. So as of right now, I don't remember all the places we are, but I can tell you where this will be. This will be on YouTube. This will be on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and we are also on Twitter at RAZZLDAZZL show.
Are we still active on that? I mean, I still get notifications.
Oh yeah, I look at it all the time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also, outside of that, I don't know when we're gonna put this up, but I really want an intro before we put it up.
Maybe this will be a moot point. Maybe we'll have an intro by the time people hear this.
Right. So by the time you hear this, we're either gonna have an intro
or we failed.
Or we'll have an intro, hopefully for the next one.
Yeah, something like that.
We've got this shiny new space
Mm-hmm.
and this shiny new podcast. I would like to complete the shininess and kind of legitimize.
I think we have a website.
Do we?
I think we do. Hold on. Let me make sure. I think it's like the
RazzleDazzleShow.com.
Yeah, that too. Let me see. .com. Yeah, the RazzleDazzleShow.com.
Oh, no.
And all of our episodes are available on there. There's that same old snazzy picture of us, which we can change at some point. Oh, look at that. There's even links to Apple, Google, and Spotify right on our website.
And I know that we had a weight loss challenge that was...
we mentioned once. 8 months ago.
I mean, from January to July. I know that you had too much going on. I would just like to update everybody that I am 30 pounds lighter this year at this time than I was last year at this time.
30 pounds sexier.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
Our last episode was March 18th.
So we took 4 months off.
Yeah, that's less than I thought it was. I thought it was more than that.
Yeah, that seems low. All right. Well, hey.
I'm just reading our old titles. Coma Life, Peppermint Balls, Just the Tip. We Love the Uneducated. Shit Jar Warehouse. The Journey Inwards. Don't Answer the Iron. And The Earth is Flat.
Wow.
I have some ideas of what I'm going to call this one, but
I can't wait.
We'll see.
All right. And on that note, I guess I will play us out.
Indeed. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.